Hi, Phil. Yeah, you are not looking at Ian Dart. You are looking at Phil Jones. We've had to swap in a guest.
I don't know Ian Dart, but I would hope a much better looking version. Is that right?
I'm going to be very neutral about this. I can't call my son-in-law good looking, I'm afraid. And not at the expense of one of our guests, for goodness sake. Ian was out and about today, and we hoped that we might be able to patch him in through mobile wonderment, but it didn't happen, which is a bit ironic given that we were going to talk about 5 ways to improve your Wi-Fi.
Is he struggling with signal?
But he is out and about. He is doing some work with BAE at the moment, so he's on his lunch hour trying to patch us in. So he was trying to fit me in, and I do really appreciate it, Ian. Do you know, the sun's just suddenly gone in. Let me just put the light on.
As you can probably see from my hair, I wasn't expecting to be broadcast the world today.
No, well, just when we say the world, just the Sam Club and the AshdownJones page. And Joe Davis, if you're watching this, maybe you can give
the world
your own hair. Well, it's my world.
It's the most important people in the world.
So I phoned Phil at about 10 past. Hi, Richard. 10 past 12, and said, "Help! Can you come on as a lockdown lesson guest, please?" And his chosen specialist subject for today is Instagram. He didn't know that.
The subject I was told I was doing today is Instagram. I came on here with loads of ideas about what's the market like at the moment.
People don't want to know about that rubbish. They just want to know about Instagram. And by the way, just speaking of the market, I know we're not going to talk about property, but I've literally just had somebody wanted to put the house on the market and somebody else wanted to buy one of our houses. So it's all going on, isn't it? It's still really busy. So Phil, as you probably can tell, is in the office. I'm at home. I'm due to go into the office today. It's a gorgeous day, actually. So let's talk about Instagram, and I'm going to ask you some questions about it. So let's see how this goes. I've never really seen my son-in-law before. So first of all, there's a lot of small business owners, well, some tall business owners as well, watching this. So why would they need to use Instagram? Because there's so many platforms out there, Phil, aren't there? It's a bit overwhelming to the small business owner.
Yeah, there are two main platforms at the moment that you should be using. Facebook, obviously, as much as people say it's for old people now. I think what's worrying when I say that is I think I'm in that. I think, yeah. Well,
Nancy's watching this. He's definitely that. He's definitely in there.
The kids nowadays apparently aren't on Facebook, so. And they are on Instagram, and the reason why and TikTok, but we won't talk about that. The reason why you need to be on Instagram is because if your clients aren't on there right now, in 5 years' time, your clients will be on there. And as a 20-year-old right now, in 5-10 years, whatever your target audience is, will become your client, and therefore, the sooner you start on Instagram, the easier it will be in the next few years to pick up clients and to lead generate through social media.
Something that we noticed, didn't we, Phil, a couple of years ago, was we were missing an Instagram audience. We're not going to talk about the AshdownJones Instagram account that doesn't at the moment exist.
Don't search it.
Yeah, don't look at the AshdownJones Instagram account because it's not there. We'll tell you about that on another time. But we were doing a campaign a couple of years ago called Pay It Forward. Do you remember that? And we got a load of local business owners involved. And one of the business owners that was involved was Homeground. And so the idea was that we would pay for somebody's meal at Homeground. So we gave the money to Homeground. Homeground then paid it forward to somebody who came in, and they gave it to one of their regulars. And the regular, who is, by the way, nearer my age than yours, photographed it and said thank you and put it on Instagram. And that was the penny dropping for me. I'm like, this is a whole new audience here that we hadn't tapped into, and that lady wasn't on Facebook.
Sorry, I wasn't. I was reading the Richard Dancy. I've not spoken to Richard Dancy in would it be 2 years?
Yeah, he's still around. He's 2 years older.
I can see he's still around. He's on Instagram. He's not just around. He's on Instagram.
He's not only on Instagram. He's on Facebook Live watching this about Instagram, which I think is quite funny.
We should have done this on Instagram Live.
Well, nobody would have been there apart from the kids. Just down with the kids. So the point is that we could tap into a whole audience that we hadn't already tapped into. Now, Facebook is kind of my home base. So I really love Facebook, but you really love Instagram, don't you? And I think the combination of the two brings in, you've got an overlapping audience, but it sometimes doesn't overlap that far. Sometimes it is two genuine audiences. Do you want to just speak about
that? Yeah, I was going to go for, I'll come back to that question in a second. But another powerful thing about Instagram right now is that it's still relatively new in terms of audience and visitors, and therefore if you want to do any kind of advertising on there, or because they're bringing out new features all the time, like Instagram TV, which is Instagram's idea to fight YouTube, good luck with that. You can get a lot of people, a lot of eyeballs, a lot of potential clients looking at your content and your photos or whatever you want to put on there very easily, and if you want to pay for it, it's very cheap compared to what Facebook was pre-pandemic.
And I think that people like me who have always been a little bit resistant to Instagram, I'm not going to lie, because I find it's a little bit of a time suck for me.
It's uncomfortable as well, because I say we again, just to throw myself into the young category, brought up with smartphones and pictures and videos and Facebook. You can be on Facebook and never take a picture of yourself and just do text only, whereas Instagram, you kind of have to at some point get your face out there and do videos. And so I think that's one reason again why there is an age and an audience difference.
But I think that for my age, my child, Molly, well, my children, all three of them, and my grandchildren are on Instagram. So if I want to see any pictures of them, I've got to go to Instagram to see them. So that is dragging in an older audience, isn't it? It's dragging in the grandmas of this world.
Yeah. I'll show you my mum's page, and that tells you exactly what you need to know about
lockdown with the kids.
Yeah, she's got 0 posts. So
she's there to see Molly's post.
She goes on there to see where I am, and that's it.
And Laura,
although she did a few comments on my post, so I had to hide her from some things.
So we're talking about personal versus business. Why would a business be on there with a business account? What's the difference between the business account and a personal account?
There's a few differences in terms of algorithm, but the thing we need to concentrate about Instagram and personal is that we want them to overlap as much as possible. The point of Instagram is to try and create some kind of personality behind the brand. So I wouldn't go on there and just be a brand and just be a company and just be a faceless grid. The grid is where you obviously your posts go to, the square area of 9. So you do want to make sure there's personality on there. There isn't a huge difference between a personal page and a business page. Obviously, you can advertise.
Can you tell whether you're following a personal or business page?
You can if you dig into it, and they have an option whether they show a business has an option whether they show the type of business they are or not, and whether they show to do contact details, etc. So you can hide it quite well.
But if you were, let's say you're some like what's the Jenner girl called? What's she called? Kylie Jenner, right? She's 22, same age as Tess, and she's one of the richest women in the world now. So if you were Kylie Jenner, pardon?
Is she a billionaire?
Yeah, she is. I know. So let's say you were her, or you were her Instagram manager. Would she need like a product account for each of her products, because she's got perfume and fashion and all the rest of it? And then would she need an account for her brand? And then would she need an account for her? How would you differentiate those sort of different entities?
Depends on the size of entity, I suppose. So she would have different accounts because she is her, like Richard said, it's about brand identity. It isn't, because she hasn't gone out there didn't open her Instagram to get her brand out there. She opened Instagram to gain, probably to tell her story and what she does every day. People find it interesting, and there's a byproduct of that. She created millions of followers, and as a byproduct of that, she created products that then led to brand awareness of what she does. So it starts with a person, and then as you become big enough, you can then go back into the brand to use to sell. So it starts with a particular person. I think you'd struggle to grow a business page as a brand and as a brand only without a personal touch. So I would always try and build the page as a person, and then once you get to millions of followers, you can then switch it up and create brands off the back of it, because you're going to get followers that it's very difficult to build a brand just using it's not a website.
No. Okay, well, let's look at a specific example then. Let's say you were Joanna from the Hen House. So she's got a fashion.
I haven't got enough fur coats to be Joanna.
She's not fluffy in any way. She's fantastic. There you go, the Hen House Boness. Let's just find her. So if you were building a brand like the Hen House Boness, for example, and there is a picture of, I don't know if you can see this, but there is a picture of Joanna on it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm finding it difficult to get my left from my right. There you go.
No.
So that's Joanna. She's got a good amount of followers. She's and following and posts. And it says that she was awarded best fashion boutique, and she's got stories and everything on there. She's doing a good job, isn't she?
Yeah, I don't like the word affordable, but other than that, it looks good.
Definitely don't like the word affordable.
What is affordable? Affordable to whom?
Affordable to whom? To Kylie Jenner, it's all affordable.
Yeah.
There you go.
You want something affordable anyway.
You want something affordable, Joanna?
It's affordable.
Get that word off there. She'll have changed it by the time we finish this lockdown lesson, I guarantee it. So she's got
expensive, unaffordable.
So that's about brand positioning. But what about the way that she says Joanna the Hen House. So just speak to that for a minute then. And that's a business account, I believe. Yeah,
so that's what we were talking about. It's coming from a person. So ideally what you want is that in an ideal world, tourists will follow and start engaging, or whoever a client is. I'm presuming it's tourists, it might be locals. You want those people to start engaging with Joanna the Hen House. So, but they're engaging with Joanna, but as a byproduct, they then understand that she owns that hen house. So anything she posts about, anything she talks about, they know where they can go and get that product. And then obviously the ideal scenario is then they go in the shop to look for Joanna.
Don't find her because she's too busy drinking Prosecco.
Exactly, yeah. But that's the idea. If it's just the hen house, it lacks a bit of personality, and people don't like speaking to brands. They like speaking to people. It's a human to human interaction.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot with estate agents, don't we? Because if you go on to most estate agents' Insta accounts and Facebook, what do you see as the profile picture usually with estate agents?
A logo or a for sale board. C to B, so client or consumer.
Hello, Joanna.
Consumer to business is almost impossible to do. But human to human is the way everyone should go. Yeah,
exactly. So you'll see when you see our, not Instagram account, please, but Facebook. There's a picture of Phil and me trying not to look like a couple, and we're very personal. And when we sign off on Facebook posts, for example, I try and sign my name so you know it's from me, and then people want to engage with that more, don't they? So
and then I put a post up and sign off as me, and people still say hi, Sam.
Even if it's a selfie.
Sorry, yeah. I'll do a 10-minute video of myself and it'll be like, hi, Sam.
Very true, Sam. Yeah, thank you for that, Sam. So just what I want to do is, because I want to try and keep with the 5 theme, I'm going to throw this at you. I want 5, I'll help you, mistakes that you see company pages making on Instagram. So I'm going to let my dog out. 5 mistakes.
Well, I was actually in the middle when you rang me of creating an Instagram course. Did I do mistakes?
Well, the first one we've actually covered, which is your profile picture. So Joanna has done a really good job of putting her picture as her profile picture, because before that it could have been a picture of a hen or her logo or a picture of the shop, and she's got a picture of her. So the biggest mistake I see people making is being afraid to use them as a person on their Instagram page, and actually just going ahead with things that mean nothing to somebody, like, you know, Joanna sells socks, but if you were to put a pair of socks up as the profile picture, nobody wants to speak to a pair of socks, do they? And that's, I think, why some pet accounts, you know, struggle a little bit, because you don't want to speak to a pet on Instagram. You want to speak to
some people do, actually, which is
some people do, yeah.
I still find amazing. Yeah, I'll skip to number 2 is selling, just outright selling. We do not like to be sold to. We like to be helped along a process and be given tips and advice and bits of content, and we want to feel like we've made the decision to buy something. So you've got to earn the right to be able to get someone to buy off you. If I follow you, don't just start message me saying, would you like to buy this? Because the answer is going to be no, and I'm going to unfollow you. To earn the right to sell to someone with engaging content, and not all, it doesn't even have to be about your brand or you, and it can be about something totally different, as long as it's engaging, getting people used to visiting your page and talking to you. But earn the right before you sell. So
in our example, that would be like following AshdownJones and then me writing to you saying, buy this house. You know, it's so different. Or you follow Tesco and Tesco writing to you and say, our milk's on offer. You know, you haven't, like Phil says, you haven't earned the right to do that. It's a conversation. And then what you really want is that person to ask you what you sell or ask you for help with their problem. Yeah. Because, and I had this conversation actually with a good friend yesterday. We were talking about positioning himself in the market that he's in, which is coaching. And we talked about, it starts with the customer first, then their problem, then your solution, and then the offer. So if that was a journey, that could take weeks, months off. For Phil and I, it can take years, can't it? Because some people go through that process many times before they actually decide to sell their house or buy a house. Yeah. And so if you're trying to do that in an Instagram conversation, you better be patient.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And Kylie, and the best way to do it is the way Kylie Jenner's done it, where I'd imagine the first day she opened her Instagram account, she didn't plan on selling through Instagram. You couldn't even sell through Instagram at that time. Now there's actually a way to do it, but she was probably going on there to show off what she had, and or whatever she did. And because she was just talking about herself and engaging, and it created what it is now. And now she's earned the right to sell to people.
Yeah.
Number 3, inconsistency. If you open up an Instagram account today, follow 5 people, and then don't get anyone buying your stuff and don't do anything again, that is going to happen. It's going to take months, if not years, before you see some kind of return on investment, some kind of return on your time for Instagram.
So how often should we be posting on Instagram?
So your the grid posts, so the normal posts.
Yeah.
Have you got your phone in front of you?
Yes, I'm just looking at. I think Joanna's posting about every other day. Is that about right, Joanna? From what I can see.
Yeah, on your grid.
It was a grid, by the way. It had some lovely word pictures down the centre of it, but she's messed it up because she's uploaded a couple more.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the grid. Every 2 to 3 days is good. There's no need to. The way the Instagram algorithm now works is they don't want the feed to be inundated with posts, and that's why they created the stories.
Okay. So yeah, you can see that she's actually posted a screenshot of Danny Thompson showing me his socks on a lockdown lesson. How funny was that? With no pants on. So that was really good, and it got 12 likes, and yeah, lots of people commenting on it. But she's also got, so she hasn't just got product images. She's got the Queen. She's got some products. She's interspersed it. Do you want to say anything about that?
She's what?
Interspersed it. It means to put things together.
I know what it means in terms of words.
No, no, I wasn't looking at the words. She's some product shots, some silly shots, some rainbow shots. Some,
right, a selection of different types of content is a good idea, because different your audience will react to different types of content differently. 25% of people thereabouts love data and stats, and so keep the different types of content going to make sure you're interesting to all of your audience and not just a small percentage.
But then on that basis, you've also got to be careful that that it's obvious what you do, I think, as well. So, you know, she's got pictures of socks on there because she sells socks. She sells other things as well, but that's what the socks are, a little reminder that she sells socks. And with us, I suppose at the moment, things are a little bit different with our lockdown lessons. So we're using lockdown lessons to fill in for the content we would normally post on our Facebook page. But at some point, we're going to have to go back to talking about houses and the housing market and all those kind of things. We don't want people to forget that we are estate agents. No. It's about making sure you've got a good mix for the time, isn't it? And for those people that are following you. Yeah,
it is. And a good way to go about it, especially for service industries like ours, is when we get questions either from buyers or sellers or whoever, that then is a great piece of content, because if someone's asked us a question about a challenge they have, a problem that they're feeling, the chances are our audience or the type of audience we want to attract have got the same kind of questions and therefore looking for the same answers.
Yeah,
so that can keep it on track.
There's a really good book on that, isn't there? They Ask You Answer. Sheridan. Yeah, pardon?
So probably.
There is a really good book on that. They Ask You Answer, and it's about turning your clients' or customers' questions into content to make sure you're always on track with what they're asking.
Yep. Number 4.
I've lost count.
We'll go 4. Is exactly what you just said. Telling people what you do. Make sure that if someone clicks on your profile,
I'm going to look at Ali Tordoff's here actually, because she's a bit of an Instagram queen.
Yeah, if someone clicks on your profile, make sure that they can instantly tell what you do and if you can help them, and if in the bio at the top, and if you can help them, is there some kind of call to action, some kind of link that they can, if they want to, they can take the next action. So you could have a website link there, but ideally you want to have something that they can take away. So if it's a free Facebook group, or if it's a free ebook they can download, if it's a book you've written, something that takes them along the journey. If you send them to a website, there's not much. From Instagram to a website is a big jump, and there's not much they can do from there. So a monthly blog, anything that you particularly want people to look at, is make sure you have that link in your bio. Right,
so this is Ali's, if you can see that. If you're not already following Alison Tordoff, this is Alison Tordoff. So her Instagram bio is...
You're not following her.
No, because I don't use Instagram. I really just don't. But yeah, so I can see who's followed her. But she's it says that she's an interior design studio. We Design People Talk, national and international award-winning interior architecture, lighting design. So yeah, does that say everything that she needs to say?
I'll make it a little clearer. The We Design People Talk, unless that's an industry term I don't know, I'll just make it clearer. So you want people to have no chance of misunderstanding exactly what you do. It's gone green screen.
I know, it's funny, isn't it? It's just that one's gone green screen. The rest of them haven't. It was just a green picture. That's why there's some more green pictures there to go green screen on. So yeah, she's got lots of pictures of lighting and interiors and colours and that kind of stuff. So could she start off by saying something like, do you need, would that be a good way of starting it? Or is it not that direct on Instagram?
You can, not at the top. It can be the last line of her bio. Do you need some inspiration on bedrooms? But then it'll be a link below that'll take them to some kind of page with inspiration of particular bedrooms or a downloadable guide.
So you can put a link in the bio, can't you?
Yeah. So where it says website in the edit, you can put in. You don't actually have to put your website in, and it'll come up at the bottom. See, Ali's got her address on there. I don't put my address in there because I think it looks messy. Like there's a lot of text there.
But somebody might want an interior architect in the Lake District to live in Windermere, possibly.
Yeah, but you could say in the top line, you could put interior designer, Lake District.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but then she saved herself some space as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was so number 3 was actually, don't sell, but number 4 was, but still tell people what you do and make it clear.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And give them an option to take the next step. You can't be around all the time to know when people are ready to take the step. Make sure that there's an option there. Yeah,
something we do, I think, really well with our content for Ashdown is we're always ready for the next step for people. We try and anticipate their next step. So while last month we were talking about, and this is really for Facebook, but it should be for Instagram as well if we had an Instagram account. But we will be talking about selling in an uncertain time throughout the month of April. And now we're anticipating that people will have moved on from that in their heads. And they're thinking, actually, what can we do to prepare to sell and move house? So that's what our next content is. So it's ready for them.
Yeah. The journey of someone buying off you starts way before you can ever imagine. The time before, we'll stick with Ali, before someone buys her services, they may be thinking about what light bulb is best in a certain room, what wall colours would look good in a north-facing room, for example. Anything that that is where her content should start, is way before even people think about her particular services. So
yeah, exactly. If you go back to that client, problem, solution, offer, a lot of people go straight to offer, don't they? So for example, Molly at the moment, right? Your wife, my daughter. You're moving house in the next few months, fingers crossed. And she is now shopping for furniture, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the kind of thing she's been doing is more about, is more about making sure that each room has got a kind of theme to it. So she won't start with what sofa do I need? It's kind of what look do I want? So she's starting before there. And then when she decides on the sofa, then she might go to a sofa supplier and then look at offers. So it starts off much earlier than that, doesn't it? It's about next, isn't it?
Yeah, right now she just wants to know. She's on Pinterest and looking at room designs, and then from there she'll dive deeper into exactly what to put where, and then she'll look at which shops and who's got the best price, got the best delivery, etc. Whereas I think 95% of businesses of those shops will think that people go to them immediately and therefore they can sell straight away. Whereas if they're first on the content at the beginning, they can keep someone along through the journey.
Yeah, I think a lot of what I see, what businesses don't necessarily do that well, is they're always thinking about their offer and they're forgetting about the customer. If they just think about the customer, if you look at your Instagram through the eyes of a customer and see whether your content is meeting their demand and what they're actually looking for, that's the point to start, really. That's where the rubber meets the road for me. That thinking about it from a client perspective and what you can give a client that they're already looking for. So one of the things that Molly might start looking for example, is, kid-proof sofas, wipeable sofas. So she's already started with her problem in her head, isn't she?
Yeah. We all have this ingrained assumption that everyone knows everything about us.
Yeah. Okay, what's number 5? Did you have number 5?
Hashtags.
Go for it.
The 2 biggest mistakes are overuse and underuse.
It's a bit like eating, really, isn't it? 2 biggest mistakes: overeating and undereating.
Undereating is not a huge mistake. Not in this office, anyway.
It doesn't seem to be a problem in the office. Okay, so let's talk about overuse first of all.
Yeah, a few years ago, you could get great engagement on posts. You get great likes and comments by spamming your posts and your comments with every hashtag you can ever imagine. And then as they do this, Instagram got used to it and started thinking that is not what people want to see. So they chucked it. And anything that has an abundance of unnecessary hashtags just won't be shown to anyone. It'll be hidden by the algorithm.
Something that people were doing and probably still are doing is they'd have all the hashtags in a note on their phone, so they could just copy and paste the exact same hashtags in exactly the same order every time, 30 hashtags, and that's just not working anymore, is it?
No, and what's mad is those hashtags were the most popular hashtags. So let's say entrepreneur is a hashtag that probably 20 million posts a day, probably. If you've got hashtag entrepreneur and you expect to be seen on that entrepreneur page, you're probably on there for 0.1 of a second. So it's a pointless hashtag, really. So you need to get hashtags that are relevant to your business, relevant to your audience, but is niched enough so people search them, and you can find them out. If you search them yourself, you can find out how many posts there are. You can probably find out how many searches there are too. But you want the hashtag to be niche enough, so you're gonna be on there for at least 30 seconds and not 0.1 second.
But you're not the only person that's ever used that hashtag either.
Exactly. Yeah.
A lot of people use their names to hashtag, don't they? Their company names. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah. It depends on the type of company you are. So if we used it, no one's ever gonna hashtag AshdownJones, and nor should they. But if we had a particular campaign running, so lockdown lives, lockdown lessons. It didn't sound right. Lockdown lessons. If we were doing those on Instagram, we could use that hashtag, and then anyone could just find them instantly by searching that hashtag without.
It helps you group, doesn't it? It helps you group content.
Yeah. So for campaigns, I think it's a good idea, and depends on which business you are. But the chances are that if you think about what you want to be found for, if someone searches AshdownJones, do we want them to find our page, or do we want them to find the hashtag? It should be, it should be page in the majority of situations.
Something that I would say, if you're unsure about it, A, test it yourself, is go and find that hashtag and click to see what other content there is. And B, think about it in terms of a Google image search. That's how I try and think of it. So I had a friend that was a counsellor, an anger management counsellor, and she was hashtagging the word anger on all her social posts. And I said, have you ever checked, the hashtag? She said, well, how would I do it? So just click on it. She clicked on it. She went, oh my goodness. And I said, well, you've all been grouped with all that content. So, if you wouldn't put it in a Google image search, then you shouldn't be putting on an Instagram hashtag. So things like, for example, Windermere and Ambleside properties is not a hashtag. Windermere is a hashtag, that's a place. Windermere properties could be a hashtag, or Lake District properties could be a hashtag. But you won't get very many of them, but then at least you're going to show. So it's trying to find the balance of the two, isn't it?
Yeah, Lake District's homes, Lake District properties, Lakeview, anything like that is probably niche enough to be on there. And it's probably a good idea in terms of if journalists were searching for a home to feature, or if people were thinking, I'd love to live in the lakes, and that's the kind of thing they would search. But if you're going to put house for sale, you've got no chance. No,
property, we see that a lot, don't we, in our industry? Property. There's just no point at all. There's no point. We've also got to be careful with things like Windermere, because there's a Windermere in Florida, and there's also a Lake District in America as well. So we've got to make sure. So we use a lot of geotagging. Do you want to just say what a geotag is?
Yeah, just so what you can do, you can search on Instagram everyone that is geotagged, let's say Windermere. You can search every post that's ever been put on Instagram from Windermere, or you can do from particular places. So our AshdownJones office has a geotag, so it's pointless to do because no one's ever going to search.
I want them to do it now.
Well, I do it sometimes, but geotagging, for example, Joanne Island, or anyone that's got whose clients are tourists in the area, if you search on the geotag section, so it's location, I think, isn't it? It's called location. Or no, places. I think it might be places.
What I search, I think it's places, but when you tag it, I think it's location.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but if you find someone, for example, that is at Rydal or somewhere like that, and their post is about how they love their yearly trip to the lakes, they are probably a good people to follow, because if they follow you back, they'll start to engage you. Especially if you're a restaurant or cafe, you've got the opportunity to find people that regularly visit the lakes, and there's no other platform you can really do that. on. So that's, yeah, if you're the right industry, that's definitely a good idea. Whereas for us, it's probably pointless because our clients are sellers, and the chances are that they're not sellers.
No. But then people do expect you to have an Instagram account, don't they? We're you know, the home of bespoke and beautiful marketing, so therefore we should really have an Instagram account that speaks to that. Now people can just quickly scan through our grid and see, actually, yes, they are what they say they are. And so I think that people are looking for proof and, you know, and just a little bit of genuine content that they can connect with. But I think that you're right, in the lakes, people, why wouldn't you geotag, you know, Windermere Lake or something? Because that's what people are searching for. And some businesses are very Instagrammable, aren't they? Like Joanna's business and Ali's business, they're very Instagrammable. Ian, that's supposed to be on the lockdown lesson today, would struggle a little bit more because he does comms, he does network and, you know, phones and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he could get a picture of himself out in the middle of nowhere, but
then he's got a different take on it because he can be more content based. So, you know, if people are looking to see where, if they're on Vodafone and they're in Lakeside, where's the nearest place to get signal, or, you know, he's still got a part to play. Yeah, just a different one.
Yeah, because we're talking to Petra about this the other day, about her content, because she puts a lot. So she's my dog walker and she's also a dog groomer. So she has Lakes, and I've completely forgotten what it's called now, Lakes Pet Services, and she does Instagram a lot. I know, I nearly forgot then, but she could put on content like top 5 dog friendly pubs in the Lake District, for example, or top 5 walks with dogs and kids. You know, top 5 walks where you won't encounter a sheep. Good luck with that one. You know, and those kind of things. And I think that those kind of contents are looking outside what you do as a service, but still bringing in the same audience, or you know, expanding your audience. Let's just give them 3 quick tips on Instagram before we close up. Just 1 minute each. Can you think of 3 good tips?
Did we not give 5?
No, that's 5 mistakes. These are 3 tips. 3 little Instagram hacks that you know about, because you've grown your account. We should put this in some context. You've grown your own personal account from 0 in November to about 1,600 likes now, 600 followers, sorry. And how many people are you following back for that?
I don't know, because I've got a post waiting to go on, so I can't check. I think I'm on 1,688, and I follow about 1,500, something like that.
Right, so it's fairly even, because what we do see sometimes is accounts where you're following twice as many people as following you back, and that's just volume, isn't it? It's not really targeted followers.
Yeah.
So you've done really well with that, and by, you know, not slipping into the 5 mistakes. But what have you done? Can you think of
3 tips? Number 1, clarity of bio. Make sure it's clear and obvious exactly what you do. And just going back to the thing before, having a clear next step for someone to take without you constantly shoving a call to action down someone's throat is vital.
So when we say next step is usually about them consuming more content, not them phoning you.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Good one. Next one.
Number 2, I did think of a really good one. I've lost it.
Well, I was going to say my one is a mistake, actually, which is don't post across Facebook and Instagram. It gives you the option to do it. Don't do it. Your post needs to look different, feel different. Instagram loves hashtags. Facebook hates hashtags. Yeah. You know, trying to speak to 2 audiences, not 1.
One is don't, and the second one is don't be selfish. So if you follow someone and expect them to comment and like on your posts and engage with you, make sure you're engaging with other people too. It's not just about you. The more you get your name out there on by commenting, the more people are going to click on your profile and get followers that way. So try not to be selfish in terms of, it's not all about you. It's and your content. It's about other people too. So yeah, like and comment on as many posts as you can.
It's funny because one of our clients said to us recently, didn't she? Nobody's commenting on my posts or liking our posts. And I said, well, are you commenting or liking on any of theirs? And she went, no. So that's it, isn't it? If you're not doing it, whatever you do will come back to you. So if you have an open and liking, commenting, sharing mentality, and some of you who are watching this are already doing that on all our, you know, you're sharing our lockdown lessons, you're commenting, you're supporting our local community. So when you create a piece of content, people do exactly the same for you. So what you put out comes back. So go and put out, Joanna.
This has gone away. I didn't expect it
Did
to.
you see the lockdown lesson with me and Joe Evans yesterday? I actually thought I was going to lose it in the middle of the lockdown lesson. I was in a fit of giggles, and it was all her fault. She was really very funny. Anyway, she was talking about making banana face masks, and it just set me off.
Well, let's not go back there. I can't get over how bad my hair is.
It's all right, actually. You look a bit 1950s, I think. Maybe you should roll your sleeves up like Jimmy Dean. That's what he looked like, Jimmy Dean. Who's Jimmy Dean? Are you kidding me?
I've got to get this young profile back. I've done myself a disservice.
Right, last half.
Number 3.
Know about
when you follow someone, or you say one that no one knows about.
Yeah.
I'm not an Instagram guru.
What are you doing on my lockdown lesson then?
Well, exactly. When you follow someone or someone follows you, message them and introduce yourself, and without doing that cringy stuff that people do on LinkedIn. Hey, I just wanted to expand my network. Do you want to buy off me? You know, it's like so try and make it relatable. So I always go on. I don't do it for everyone because I don't have that much time. But if there's someone that I see as a potential client in the future, I would look at some of their posts they've done over the last couple of months and say they've done some photography I think is really nice. I would comment and say, I would message them and say, you know, and mention that. Or if someone's got really nice branding, I do this often and say, I really like your branding. Mm-hmm. Something that is clear that I'm not wanting anything back, but it breaks down the barrier of who's going to talk to whom first.
And I think you just need to open the conversation, don't you? Like Sean Carpenter was on one of our interviews the other day. He's a real estate agent from America, and he said, make sure each one of your messages has a question mark at the end and not a period. That's what he said. He did say that. So yeah, not a full stop. It needs to have a question mark. So the more question marks you put in, the more answers you're going to get back, and then you've got a conversation opening. So you could say, I really love your branding. Where do you have it done? Maybe that's not a bad example, but you know, just a nice question is, you know, is a good way of opening it, isn't it? But it's got to be I don't like these auto DMs. I don't know about you, but
Instagram have stopped them.
Have they? But some people just copy and paste, don't they? Which just feels like an auto DM.
Yeah. Richard put, hey Phil, love what you do, lol. See, lol is like lol was cool when I was 15, so that was 13 years ago. And what's happened to it is that people like my mum haven't realised that it's no longer cool.
Well, luckily I've never used it, so I must still be cool.
So if you drop the lol, I'll let you have the emoji, Richard.
You can have the emoji, but not the lol. Sorry, Rich. All right, well, look, we'll wrap it up there. I hope that given that we haven't actually done any screen share, we didn't do any slides or anything out on Instagram, and we will do that at some point. We just had an Instagram training, didn't we, in the Sam Club?
I've got slides that are about 70% finished that you disturbed me from. Okay,
well, if you are a local business owner and you haven't already seen the it's actually my what does it say? It's Richard. If you are a local business owner and you haven't already seen the training in the Sam Club, then if you message me, I'll pop you in the Sam Club and you can see the training, because Phil and Tess did about a 2.5 hour, 3 hour training the other day on it. So about 2 hours, wasn't it? And so it was a really in-depth.
It was about 2 hours worth crammed into 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was. But we did, I mean, Tess did a lot of screen sharing and stuff like that. So it was, there was a lot of content in there. You talked about strategy and she talked about content strategy. So I thought it was really useful. So if you haven't already seen it, then I'll point you to it if you like.
From us humans.
Pardon?
From us young people.
From you young people.
How long can I be classed as young for?
You're not young now. You're married with 2 kids. You're not young. That's it now. You're over the hill.
Well, what are you then?
I'm ancient. I'm gone. I should be retired.
You can't even see the hill.
You keep me young, Phil. You keep me young. All right. It wasn't meant to show as a text, Richard says. So we'll leave him trying to figure out his keyboard, and we'll sign off and say thank you for jumping into this lockdown lesson. It's called the lockdown lesson, not lockdown live, just so you know.
Well, you missed the trick there. Lockdown live. It's got a certain ring to it.
Wonder who you stole that off. So thank you for stepping in. I don't know who we've got on tomorrow, but I will find out and post it. And,
so I'll be back tomorrow.
I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that's the end of what I need you for. Sorry.
I thought I was going to get my own slot someday, but obviously not.
All right. Have a good day. Thanks again.